Hello, my name is Miles, I'm 20 years old, and I have never seen Harry Potter. Any of them. Or read the books. Now, after the 2 decades that I've been on this planet, I have finally decided to dip my toes into the bewitched water that is J.K. Rowling's imagination and see what all the hype's about. Now, I didn't watch it when I was younger, like everyone else did, because my family didn't allow me to watch it because witchcraft is a sin. But once we got older and they realized that it doesn't matter and nobody really cares, it was too late. It just wasn't interesting to me anymore. I was already really into Star Wars. I had just watched Lord of the Rings, and I mean, going from Gandalf to a bunch of teenagers waving around twigs.
Wingardium Leviosa.
This didn't seem like anything I'd be interested in. After all these years, however, the curiosity has finally gotten to me. And later this year in November, it'll be 20 years since the first movie's release date. So I decided, might as well go for it now. What better time? So there are 8 movies, so I'm gonna probably split this up into 2 videos, 4 and 4. I know Harry Potter is saturated in our culture, but I'm gonna try and forget everything I know about Harry Potter and watch it from the beginning as fresh as I can and then give my opinions as a first-time viewer. So, I guess let's start. First things first, yes, I did get a haircut between these takes. First, it was bad. If you saw my last video, it ended up pretty bad. So shout out to Elizabeth Rose Beauty for fixing it up for me. You're a lifesaver. Also, I lied. I'm not gonna do 4 movies in one video. I don't know why I thought I was gonna be able to do that. Cover 4 2.5-hour long movies without making this video super long. So I'm gonna break it up into 2 movies at a time. Don't worry, I'm not gonna post 4 consecutive Harry Potter videos. I'm gonna spread it out. In this video, we're gonna go over the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm gonna assume that you guys have seen the movies, and I'm not really gonna go over the plot that much. I'll just break it down and go through my opinions on key parts. Spoiler alert, I probably don't need that, being that it's been 20 years, but also, I didn't see it until this week, so there might be a few of you that still haven't, so spoilers. I guess I gotta admit that I'm already gonna be biased against this. I am not a big fan of child protagonist movies. As long as I've been alive, I haven't liked them. Harry Potter does do it better than most, and it makes it fairly charming. Now, the movie also slowly introduces you to the world of wizardry, and it's easy to take in. Harry Potter's adopted family is just as hateable as they should be.
There's no such thing as magic.
I probably hated them a little more because I'm just not a big fan of British people, except for Harry Styles. He's a cool guy, I guess. This is just a nitpick, but I feel like having the goblins or whatever be the bankers is weirdly anti-Semitic. Hermione, when she was introduced, I thought she was annoying.
Are you sure that's a real spell? Well, it's not very good, is it?
She reminded me of a lot of young girls that I knew when I was little. Not that I knew that many young girls, but out of the few that I did know, Hermione reminded me of a few of them, all of which I did not like. Ron, on the other hand, loved the kid. Also reminded me of some people that I knew when I was younger, all of which loved them to death. I'd have to say, over the entire movie, my favorite character was the head of the Quidditch team. He didn't have a British accent. I can't quite pinpoint what accent he had, but I loved it. He was a great guy.
Quidditch is easy enough to understand. Each team has 7 players, 3 chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, and the seeker.
Fun fact, when I was in middle school, I actually played Quidditch with Stanford, the college, for a weekend, because apparently it's an actual thing that people in the real world do. So I'm kind of skipping over a lot of things because I'm gonna be honest, the first hour and a half or even 2 hours, while charming with the little interactions between kids, didn't seem to have much meat to it. It was just sparse little things here and there that you would know, oh, I know this is going somewhere into the plot, but as of now, it's just packed between so much fluff that I'm not interested in it. The Quidditch scene I thought was weird at first because Harry was just kind of hanging out and not, chasing the snitch like the chaser is supposed to do. At the end of the Quidditch match, when Harry's chasing the snitch, falls off of his broom, maybe catches the snitch, and there's kind of like a, oh, did he get it, did he not? Then he has it. We all saw that coming. It was kind of annoying to me. Now, I do have to be honest, I did laugh a lot during the movie, not because of humor or whatnot. I just found it entertaining hearing a bunch of high-pitched little kids talking in funny British accents. There was that whole bit about him trying to get the book, not really finding what he needed, and then really having to escape. And it seemed useless when in the end, Hermione had the book the whole time.
I had you looking in the wrong section. How could I be so stupid? I checked this out weeks ago, forbidden light reading.
She just forgot about it for some reason. I get that they were trying to lure us into the red herring of seeing Snape and Quirrell, or whatever his name was, getting a little freaky in the dark. It just seemed like that was really drawn out. A lot of these scenes had a little piece of plot information and were stretched into long scenes of fluff. That was probably one of the worst parts about this, was it was hard to get invested in. And there were other parts that were just annoying to me. Now, when they were serving detention with Hagrid, we have Harry and we have Draco walking along following the unicorn blood or something, and they stumble across the dead unicorn and some dark creature eating it. Now, Draco immediately does what anyone would do and books it in the opposite direction. Harry, on the other hand, just kind of slowly walks back and then falls over. This also was something similar that happened a lot. The main characters would kind of do things that just didn't seem logical, that would get them in a predicament, only for someone to then come in, save the day, and then dump exposition. This being one of them. After he fell over and the dark creature was about to come get him, the centaur showed up, saved the day, and then just dumped some exposition. Oh, the unicorn blood helps people heal or come back to life, immortality, and that dark creature was Voldemort himself. Now, a lot of the movie, the main characters were passive and they were kind of pushed along by the plot. When the main characters are passive, it's hard to get hooked because they don't have the same drive that someone who's actively pursuing something has, so you don't have the drive to watch them. Later on in the movie, they do start to become more active when they start encountering things, and this is maybe an hour and a half into the movie, and this is where we encounter one of the biggest problems I have with child protagonist movies. The main characters are 11 years old. There are some things that they did that were just like unlikely for 11-year-olds to have, not to mention that they were able to outsmart and do better detective work than the staff members who were there. But that's just an issue with all child protagonist movies. Now, we're gonna go right to the ending, because I have most of my issues with both of these movies was just small nitpicks and boredom throughout like the first two acts, and in the final act, and especially the ending, that's where all of my issues are, and that's where the whole thing falls apart for me. So there's that mirror, which when you look into, you see what you want most. However, Dumbledore warns Harry not to get addicted to the mirror because the mirror doesn't do anything.
This mirror gives us neither knowledge or truth. Men have wasted away in front of it, even gone mad.
It only shows you what you want, but it can't give it to you. However, at the end, he's looking into the mirror, and his reflection is holding the Sorcerer's Stone, and then puts it into his pocket. Makes sense. Harry sees what he wants most at that time. However, Harry then reaches in his actual pocket and pulls it out. How does that work? Dumbledore explains it later, saying something like, the Sorcerer's Stone could only be obtained by someone who wasn't planning on using it.
Only a person who wanted to find the stone, find it, but not use it, would be able to get it.
That doesn't explain how the mirror gave it to him. The mirror doesn't give you things. That was established before. Not just that, but the final battle was so anticlimactic that it hurt my soul. So we got Quirrell, right? The Professor Quirrell there. He's using himself to keep Voldemort alive. He goes to choke out Harry or something. But then when Harry touches him, he starts to disintegrate.
What is this magic?
Just by touch. What a final fight where you just get lucky that the guy that you're fighting can't touch you. It seemed like such a BS way to get out of this. And later on, Dumbledore explained that by literally just saying the power of love.
What is it?
Love, Harry. Love.
your mom died, and when she died, she marked you, not with a mark, but with love, and he couldn't stand the touch of love. What? I mean, for a first installment, you kind of just bullshitted your way out of this final battle. However, the next part is just Dumbledore being a dick. We all know that there are 4 houses, each competing for like the cup or whatever it is, right? And at the end, Dumbledore goes through the numbers and lists who's in last and who's in first. In first was the House of Slytherin. So he gives them the win, Slytherin.
And in first place, with 472 points, Slytherin House.
Just to right after that say, just kidding, you're not actually winners because right now I'm gonna give extra points to the people who saved the school from Voldemort.
However, recent events must be taken into account.
That's a dick move to Slytherin. Just count the points before you announce the winner. So while the movie wasn't bad, I had no expectations for it, and it was still underwhelming, which made the movie a 4 out of 10 for me. It could have been entertaining if you didn't think too much about it, but for me, it didn't get me invested enough to care that much about the main characters. Some of the interactions were as charming with their little coming of age bits, but everything else when it came to magic and plot sort of fell flat, and in the end, just didn't do it. Next up, so to me, The Chamber of Secrets was the underwhelming twin of the first movie. It's just as predictable and upsetting. The first bit of the movie was about the uncle having to make an important business deal, so he sends Harry up to his room to not have any mystical, magical shenanigans, which right after he said that, I knew there are gonna be some magical shenanigans, which within less than a minute, I was correct. Not even a minute later, we meet Dobby the Masochist.
Dobby! Stop! Dobby! Dobby had to punish himself, sir.
The house elf who's determined to keep Harry from going to Hogwarts because someone there's trying to kill him. So Dobby's trying to save Harry by getting him in trouble so that his uncle and aunt won't let him go to Hogwarts.
Then Dobby must do it, sir. For Harry Potter's own good.
I do have to say though, after the cake was dumped on the people, the uncle did a great job at playing it off, so. I mean, he might be annoying, but he was quick on his feet with that one.
I'm so sorry. It's my nephew. He's very disturbed. Meeting strangers upsets him. That's why I kept him upstairs.
The redhead boys save Harry, try to take him to the school. They miss the train, so they take the flying car. The car lands in the tree, and Ron snaps his wand on a steering wheel.
My wand.
I didn't know such a magical thing could snap so easily just by hitting the steering wheel a few times. Now, most of my issues with this movie are exactly the same as the first one. It's a child protagonist movie. Most of it relies on the stupidity or the ignorance of the adults. And to further show the stupidity of the adults, the new dark arts teacher or defense against the dark arts teacher unleashes some pixies on the class and then runs off. And out of the entire second year students who learn magic, only one thought to use magic to save the day, and it's Hermione. That's another thing that I've kept noticing. Hermione seems to be the only one who consistently uses magic. So she hits the pixies with a Immobilis, which I mean seems to be quite a helpful spell for most situations. Haven't seen it again. So yeah, she's the only one who consistently uses magic among students and even staff members. Later, during the Quidditch match, she got that big old ball that's beating into Harry, or trying to. Everyone knows it's been tampered with. Ron is gonna go and try to save the day, but you know, he can't. His wand's broken. Hermione doesn't do anything yet. She lets it play out. After Harry does the same BS of, oh, am I gonna get it? Did I get it? Yes, I got it, you know, type situation.
Let's go.
Harry Potter has caught the snitch!
Literally the same thing. The ball consistently tries to kill him. Again, everyone knows it's been tampered with. No one does anything except for Hermione, who uses magic to stop the ball. Why? The staff was letting this thing, which was obviously tampered with, threaten the life of one of their students. But, you know, not too surprising, they consistently put their students in extreme danger. I don't know if it was before or after, but the kids are exploring as they do. They go off into nowhere and stumble upon weird things. Harry hears a voice, he follows it. There's a message written in blood on the wall with a dead cat hanging from it. They stand around trying to decipher the code, and just then, half of the f***ing school shows up. And instantly blames them for vandalism and murder. Because, you know, we all know that if you're gonna do something like that, you gotta kind of sit back and proofread your message to make sure that there are no spelling or grammatical errors, right? Now, the janitor shows up, or whatever he was, and sees his cat hanging, and also jumps to conclusions, thinking that Harry killed the cat, threatens to kill Harry.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you!
A member of staff threatens to kill a student. He threatens murder to a minor. Thankfully, Dumbledore walks in, lets us all know, oh, the cat's not dead, it's only been petrified. Because of course they're not gonna kill a cat. This movie has no balls. And this also goes back to the fact that the kids never tell anybody anything that can actually help them. At one point, Harry's talking to Dumbledore, and Dumbledore just goes, "Is there anything you want to tell me?"
Is there something you wish to tell me?
And Harry says, no. Now, this is a nitpick between when the Gryffindor house and the Slytherin house were dueling, but if you're going to count down while facing each other, that null and voids the back-to-back walking away, because the whole point of that was, you know, you turn around, fast reflexes type situation, quick thinking, quick aim. But if you walk apart, turn around, stare at each other, and then count down, there was no point in doing the back-to-back walking away thing. Anyway, that's just... Right after that, though, Harry talks to the snake, and everyone instantly thinks he's trying to egg the snake on to attacking a kid. Now, instead of saying, "What, didn't you guys hear me say, don't attack the kid?" he just looks around and goes... Everyone now thinks that he is the son of Slytherin, who will unleash the Chamber of Secrets. When we first learned about the Chamber of Secrets, they were sitting in a class and Hermione just goes, "Tell us about the Chamber of Secrets."
That wand needs replacing, Mr. Weasley. Yes, Miss Granger?
Professor, I was wondering if you could tell us about the Chamber of Secrets.
We don't know how she knows about it. They just throw this upon us. And then the teacher, who is totally okay with this change of subject, goes into a deep dive into the lore of the Chamber of Secrets. Completely unwarranted, just a, you know what? Chamber of Secrets time. We get to falsely accusing Hagrid, which is another just red herring that wasted my time because, you know, there was a flashback of a memory where he opened a wooden crate and unleashed a spider. So people genuinely thought that the wooden crate was the Chamber of Secrets and the spider was the monster inside. What? That's so dumb that they would even think that. Turns out that the flashback was through Tom Riddle, or young memory of Voldemort. I don't know how that works.
A memory, preserved in a diary for 50 years.
Harry confronts him, being like, "Hey, you're actually the guy who's the son of Slytherin who opened the Chamber of Secrets." So he did it. There was a final battle. It was entertaining, I guess. Harry pulls the sword out of the hat, and then the Phoenix comes in, showing that, hey, in the end, he was truly loyal, and he's not actually the son of Slytherin. Then they also end with more charm, but it just also seemed lackluster. I give this movie also a 4 out of 5. Now, I realize that I ranted a lot with no structure, so this is going to be a pain to edit and hopefully arrange in a way that makes sense. Had the same issues that the first movie did. It seemed like a lot of it was fluff and barely served the plot. Both these movies have the same issue of the first 2 acts being a lot of useless fluff with sprinkled bits of plot that would eventually come in handy in the end. And then in the end, it's the dump of the plot, which uses those tiny bits and pieces throughout the first 2 hours, just to then pull out some other random stuff to help Harry win, like the sword out of the hat. Then they explain that away afterwards. Underwhelming. Hermione's the only one that uses magic. Harry seems like kind of an idiot. Ron's great. We love him. Love the guy. Also, I liked how the head of the Quidditch team was back. That was awesome. But yeah, Very lackluster. I can see the charm, I can see the appeal, but it would only be entertaining if you don't think too much about it. I do suspect that as I continue watching, I will begin to enjoy them more, because at this point, I'm already slightly invested in the characters, and seeing them grow will only make me like them more. Not to mention that as they grow, they're not gonna have the issues that child protagonist movies have. These movies also just don't have balls. They don't really kill anyone. Things are just kind of played off. I get that it's supposed to be aimed towards children, but you can't fill it with so much useless charm and have such a loose plot and such a confusing and situational magic system. That's what I said. I'll continue going through these movies and we'll see how it goes. Hope you guys enjoyed my aimless rant about these two movies. Please leave a comment down in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, and subscribe. See you next week. Adios.